Hi gang, Scott here and welcome to In Post. Thanks for joining me today. In this video, I want to talk about tinting black and white photos, just giving a little touch of a color tint to them. It's more like something you may have done in the dark room or when you're developing on a certain kind of paper that has either a certain warmth or a certain coolness to it. I like to add this into digital photos, and there's a couple of approaches. In Lightroom, I'll show you both. There's really no right or wrong. They just give you different results, and it just matters what you like, what taste you have. And for me, I like to add a little touch of purple to the shadow areas, just like this little touch of plum. It gives a nice little, I don't know, I like the accent. But I want to show you just like straight out here. This is one of the photos I captured this during in the field episode if you watched it a couple of days ago. I don't think I shared the photo in that video. But right now I've got no tint. I've got two different approaches here, color grading or with masking. And let's just look at the differences. First, no tint. Now with color grading, you'll see that things got just this different, right? Whether it's chalky or gray, however it appeared to you, no tint. With the color grading, actually adding in just this touch of purple to the shadows and blending it in. And then there's a different approach. Let me say no tint, so we get our baseline, and then tint with mask. You'll see that same effect, and I shouldn't say same. It's slightly different because I am doing something a little bit differently with the mask, but I am adding in that little touch of purple. So what about the color grading versus the masks? Just so we get the full differences here. Color grading with the mask, color grading, and then tinting with the mask. The tint with the mask is more subtle. Color grading, tint with mask. I honestly don't know if that's going to come through on YouTube. It's subtle on my screen. If you've watched my videos before, you know I do a lot of subtle touches, and sometimes those don't convey through compressed video on YouTube, so I apologize for that. But hopefully between no tint and tint, you see the difference. So how did we go about accomplishing this? Let's look at the color grading first. So I'll highlight the snapshot with color grading. We'll open up color grading, and it is in the shadows. You can see this purple that I'm adding into the shadows. That's it looks like it's pretty deep, but really it's controlled by the amount of saturation. So this is what's being added, this kind of like lighter lavender, controlling that with the sliders or with the color wheel. But notice where the blending and the balance is. If I take this balance and start pushing it, saying, hey, make more shadows, you can really see that purple jump out, right? Which does not look good. Just this tiny touch into the shadow areas. Midtones and highlights aren't being affected at all. And before and after, just a little touch, right? And you could do this in really whatever tonal range that you want. With color grading, you have shadows, midtones, highlights, some level of control and blending things out with blending and balance. But you do have some limits there, right? So what about the masking approach? Let me get that snapshot open, not using color grading, using masks. I have this one mask here, Tint Shadows Plum. I'm using a luminance range mask, so I hover over that. You can see this is the only stuff that's getting affected. And I took extra care, something that I couldn't control in, say, color grading here with the luminance range, where I really am protecting those very deep shadows. Notice the luminance range, what's really in scope is a tight band at the lower end of the shadows, but not the deepest shadows. The deepest shadows taper off, that lower triangle there, that little, well, maybe it's like the pentagon, a little like upside down home plate kind of thing for baseball people. That's feathering it out and smoothing out this tint so it doesn't affect those deepest shadows, and then really letting it fade off to the right. That was mainly because this scene is a lot of dark, a bunch of brights, and not so much in the midtones. And you can see that here, right, in the histogram. There's just not a lot here. It's a whole lot of highlights. So having this healthy spread helped to smooth out the tinting. Otherwise, it became too much of a drop-off. Well, where's the tint actually happen? That's with this color down here. Click on that, and I'm using, in this case, it's a little different of a hue than I had in the color grading. Just personal preference. lower saturation. That seemed to suit my taste more with this particular luminance range mask approach to tinting. So in the end, I mean, the results-wise, it really is a matter of taste. One more time, no tint at all, which I found this to be a little bit flat, a little bit boring. Tint with color grading, I like the accent, gives it just, I don't know, museum-y kind of feel. Tint with the mask, that gave me a little more control over keeping those deep shadows really, really dark. And again, I know that those are probably not coming through on the video. I'll tell you what, I'll make 3 images and I'll put all 3 up on the screen here so you can see the differences there. But the takeaway really for the video is you can do this level of color tinting with your black and whites. I mean, you can go pretty extreme if you wanted to. I don't know how well it would work for selective color. That's not something I've played with or explored. Might be something you want to try. But try it with color grading to start with. But if you really want the extra control, I will advocate using masks because you can really pinpoint particular tonal ranges with those luminance range masks. I do hope you found the video useful, and if you've got questions, go ahead and drop them below. And until next time, my name is Scott Davenport. Have fun.